Good morning, good afternoon, or evening, everyone. Welcome to this training webinar. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Charlene Savage, and I'm coming to you live from Brisbane in sunny Queensland of Australia. In my former life, the majority of my career, I had 12 years in corporate sales and global recruitment. I did exceedingly well and generated over $250,000 a year. And I was practically living the dream until life took a drastic change with separation and divorce in 2014. So as a single mom, that year I found myself and I discovered a much higher power, and therefore I decided to leave the corporate world and go to Bible college, where I graduated in pastoral leadership at Hillsong Bible College. If you've just joined us, if you could kindly mute your line out, that would be amazing. Great. And so at that time as a student, I quickly realized that, just a second, guys, I need to do something here. Mute all. There we go. I think I've got this. Okay, so at that time as a student, I quickly realized, that the blessings of having an income quickly diminished, and therefore I had to earn some income, and I had to earn it fast. I discovered the world of MLM. What a crazy industry. I had what we call shiny object syndrome. And I also discovered that although I had sales and recruiting skills, that, why wasn't I able to transfer it to this specific industry? I was desperate. I was using my credit cards to pay for my groceries, and something had to change. So shortly after, in February 2017, I was fortunate enough to have met millionaire mentors who really helped me in this world of online marketing. They taught me it was about leadership and it was about personal development, and it led me to generate my first 6 figures in 6 months. During that time, I also published my very first book, which is called The Influence of One, which talks about my transformation and going into, the spiritual side of things. And today I'm a fully fledged online and offline entrepreneur. I mentor and train in both the online marketing and cryptocurrency now, having recently started accredited courses with the Blockchain Institute of Technology. And that's why I'm here today, to actually share some of this knowledge. My powerful why is 100% my family. My 15-year-old son, Cruz, and my mama, they both live with me. But my bigger powerful why is my ministry, and which is Outpouring Ministries, which exists to, make a difference in a world full of desperate need. So all of these skills and all of this experience have led me to become a top recruiter online, and why I'm speaking to you today. So we'll get through this. Okay, so I'm just going to disclaim that, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't consider myself to be an expert. I'm simply an enthusiast who is very passionate about cryptocurrency, very passionate about Bitcoin, blockchain technology especially. And so I really wanted to after having learnt, I've implemented some things, and now I want to share it today. So in today's training, I'm going to cover off what is a blockchain. Also going to cover off the likes of, what is Bitcoin, the role of Bitcoin miners. Obviously us in BCN, we're Bitcoin miners, and I really wanted to share this because I believe that when we have an appreciation of what we have in our hands, we're going to have more confidence in being able to share this with those in our sphere of influence. It's very powerful. I'm also going to go onto the live Bitcoin blockchain. We're also going to show through the market capitalization with coinmarketcap.com. We're also going to show you the Bitcoin block halving. And so the aim of today is to give you, to have you confidently speak about Bitcoin and the blockchain. And I really believe, this journey of personal development and leadership comes from understanding, wisdom, knowledge, and all of those things. Okay, can you see this slide? Yay. Okay, so what is a blockchain? So having accurate information and a way to verify the sources of things when you are dealing with transactions or things that are of real value, it's essential, especially in today's world. So you need reliable systems that you can trust. And in the world full of internet fraud, malware, hacking, security is becoming more highly sought after. These days, there's lots of restrictions and rules around getting verifications, for example, 2FA Google authentication. So how can you trust the source of the information that you are getting? And the answer is a technology called the blockchain. And blockchain can provide a single source of truth that's 1, verifiable, 2, tamper-proof, and 3, unchangeable. And so what is a blockchain? We have here, basically, a blockchain is a constantly growing ledger that keeps a permanent record of all the transactions that have taken place in a secure, chronological, and immutable way. And so, but blockchain is all, okay, I need to do something about this. Mute all. I think that fixed the problem. Okay, and so blockchain is a ledger, and it's a file. It's a file. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's constantly growing. It keeps track of all the transactions. It's permanent. So once it goes in, you can't take it out. It's also secure. It uses advanced cryptography, to make sure it's locked inside the blockchain. It's also chronological. So that means every transaction happens directly after the previous one. Immutable. As you build out these transactions onto the blockchain, this ledger can never be changed. So what is Bitcoin? The birth of Bitcoin came about on October 31st, 2008, where there was a man by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto, and he published the white paper on Bitcoin. And so the first transaction, which is also known as the Genesis transaction, was January the 3rd, 2009. So Bitcoin is a type of digital asset that can be bought, sold, or transferred between parties securely over the internet. And so Bitcoin also serves as a digital currency, and you can use it to buy products and services and make payments, right? Dollars or euros are different, but with Bitcoin, there are no physical coins or bills. You also don't need to use a bank or a credit card or any type of clearinghouse. You can send Bitcoin to another party over the internet and it will arrive almost instantly. And so in cryptocurrency, cryptography is a key component. Go to the next slide here. I'm going to quickly touch on the 4 components of Bitcoin. So I wanted to quickly show you and identify these 4 components. So number 1 is software. So Bitcoin at its core it's software. So it's basically a software that identifies what Bitcoin is, as well as how Bitcoin gets transferred. It identifies who is valid, who isn't, and everything is based on the software, which is the Bitcoin software. That software at its core uses something which is called cryptography. Okay, you may have heard Ricardo talk about it in some of the presentations. And Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. And this is used to regulate the transfer of Bitcoin between parties, as well as the creation of new units inside Bitcoin. So if it wasn't for cryptography, Bitcoin it just wouldn't be possible. And so we have so far covered the software. We've covered the software that uses is cryptography, and it plays a huge role in the creation of new units of Bitcoin. but this needs to run on hardware. Okay, and this hardware is what is composed of those thousands of miners, around the world running their computers. You've seen the blockchain, you've seen the Bitcoin blockchain. That's what we're referring to here with all the miners. So, there's thousands of computers around the world that are basically running the software. Okay, so the point is, all the software is running off a network of thousands of computers all around the world by this hardware component that we're actually talking about. But the final piece that actually ties it all together, which my son really loves, his face lit up like the 4th of July when I told him this, and this is what makes it all possible. Because Bitcoin is truly, it's a game that is run by these miners all around the world. And I'll tell you exactly how all of this ties in on the next few slides. And here we have the role of Bitcoin miners. Okay, so within the Bitcoin network, there are a group of people which are called miners. That's us, right? And miners, our role is to process and confirm transactions. And we use powerful Bitcoin mining computers that are specifically designed to mine Bitcoin transactions. And the way we do that is by solving, math problems. We resolve cryptography issues. And because every one of these transactions needs to be cryptographically encoded is the word, and secured. And these mathematical problems are what actually ensures that no one is tampering with the data. So additionally for this task, the miners are paid in Bitcoin, which is a key component in Bitcoin. Money in Bitcoin is not created like you would create normal fiat currency. The US has dollars, and all of those are created by central banks. They can print it off, right? And the way that Bitcoin is created is by rewarding these miners for their work and solving these math and cryptography problems. So now that you understand the role of Bitcoin miners and what their role is, basically, let's apply it to the Bitcoin blockchain. So when you really think it through, in summary, Bitcoin miners build the blockchain of records that form the blockchain ledger. And go to the next slide. Okay, and so these are blocks, and each block contains all the different transactions that are taking place. Okay, so new blocks are being issued every 10 minutes from the Bitcoin software. Remember I spoke about that with all the new transactions. So as the miners are processing these different transactions, they build a block, which is here, and when that block is confirmed, it gets added to the blockchain. This blockchain is built all the way back, to the initial transaction, which was the Genesis block in January 3rd, 2009. Okay. And so the software for Bitcoin issues a new cryptography challenge every 10 minutes. And as this challenge is issued, the miners are involved. And so this is a really cool picture. I thought, let's just get some visual, because I think people understand it this way. So as the challenge is issued, all of these miners are involved. They run the hardware. There are thousands of computers around the world, and there's a race, right? And so the miners, they race to solve the challenge, and the one who solves the challenge first wins the race. And so this is what happens after that. It's pretty, it's a pretty cool community. I thought this picture was quite fitting. This is when the rest of the mining community, they come together, and they play a very important role, and that is to verify and validate the blocks. So you can see these other miners congratulating this dude, even though they were competing against each other. They actually, they come together and they stand and they validate. This is what the power of Bitcoin is. And so The miner's reward is currently 12.5 Bitcoin for first prize. Cha-ching! And so this is known as the Coinbase transaction. And I'll show you that when I display the actual live blockchain as well. So we're going to go there right now. Hopefully you can still see my screen. Perfect. Okay. And so you've all seen this before, right? So as you're aware, this is the wheel of miners. Let me just push it up there a little. This is the wheel of miners on the live Bitcoin blockchain. So I've explained our role as miners, right? And that is to build the blockchain of records, i.e. blocks, to form the Bitcoin ledger. So as you can see, obviously Bitclub Network, we're here, we're currently at 2.5%. Ricardo, you know, sometimes people find it difficult to explain some of these things. You just got to remember that the monopoly is owned by the Chinese. And this is one of the messages that I've learned in my experience in online marketing and in this opportunity is that, you know, stay close to the fire, keep showing up, keep listening, and keep taking notes, because I've only learned this through repetition and through listening to Ricardo. And so, you know, made up of the Chinese, and, you know, they've got the hundreds of thousands of computers actually, you know, being rented out to people in the Orient, you know, with their machines running in the backs of their homes or their basements or their laundromats or their restaurants, okay? And so Ampool is a manufacturer of Bitmain mining machines. Most of us know that, some of us may not. And we're the second largest holder of those Bitmain mining machines. Okay, so let's just go down a little bit further. So as you know, when you're actually trying to verify and validate, this is a really good website to go to bring transparency and verification. And so if I were to click on Bitclub Network, we can dig a little bit deeper into this one here. As you can see now, we have the recent blocks found by Bitclub Network. And so this hash, it's what we call, this is what I found really cool. It's actually a SHA-256, which is a cryptographic hash function. So I thought it was fitting that, you know, I'm named after, or it's named after me, right? So I thought I'm in the right place, I have to be. And so SHA-256 is a cryptographic hash function. And basically, if I go on a little bit deeper, basically it takes an input of a random size, okay? And it produces an output of a fixed size. And I'll show you a little bit more shortly. So, you know, hash functions are really, really, really powerful because they're one way. Okay, what this means is that it's possible for anyone to use a hash function to produce an output when given an input. However, it is impossible to use the output of the hash function to reconstruct its given input. And I'll show you what I mean when we get to the Coinbase transaction. So this powerful feature of the SHA-256 hash function makes it ideal for the application here in the Bitcoin network. Okay, so if we go down a little bit further, I just wanted to explain some of these things here, or what I know. This is the number of transactions it took to actually, secure this block. That's 2,350 transactions. If you just hover your cursor over it, it'll actually break down and show you a little bit more information about each of these components. So you've got your output total, and it's given you a USD value. You've got your estimated transaction volume, again, the same thing. And so here we have the height. Now, obviously, if it's highlighted blue, you can actually click on it and it'll go to another screen. So if we click on that, it just goes into a little bit more depth, excuse the pun, for the actual block height, which is actually, in summary, it's on the previous page anyway. So we'll just go back to the previous screen. And here we have the timestamp of when this block was secured on the blockchain. It was relayed by us, the Bitclub Network. So if you wanted to go to the previous screen, you can click on that and it'll bring you those blocks up again. To return, just click on the block that you entered into. And here we have the difficulty. Now, my understanding, and I am getting verification on this difficulty is similar to this hash, because this hash represents that difficulty. Then we've got the bits, we've got the size, and we've got the nonce, which actually means numbers that can only be resolved once. That's it's in the short form. And then you've got the block reward of 12.5 Bitcoin. Another thing I wanted to show you here is, remember how I showed you the diagram of you had blocks and it was in chronological order. You always had something before it and then another thing after it. It actually shows you the previous block and the next block. So this block here is by Bitclub Network. Let's click on the previous block just to, let's have a look around. And so the previous block, it's actually, that was relayed by btc.com. Okay, and so if that was the previous block, if we were to click on the next block, it should be Bitclub Network. So I've just clicked on the next block, which is us. Okay, so from our block, if I were to click on the next block, it's Antpool. Okay, so you can literally switch and have a look around from each block to block. So if I were to go back to the previous block, it should go back to the Bitclub Network. So I just wanted to, show you that, you can actually look around and, just start to have an appreciation of what we have in our hands, because it really is quite cool. And here we have the Coinbase transaction. Now, many of you probably know that you've heard Coinbase as an exchange, right? Well, this is where they get its name from. So the Coinbase transaction is the miner's reward of 12.5 Bitcoin. And so here you see at the top, it says no inputs, okay? And then it was unable to decode an output address. Therefore, this one is the Coinbase transaction. And the green button here is 12.5557 Bitcoin. Okay, so that's really quite cool to see. Now, if you wanted to see the value of that, you can actually click on that and it'll give you the actual dollars value as well, which we learned over the weekend, didn't we, Connie? Okay, and so if you wanted to look in a little bit deeper, you can actually click on that wallet, as you know, and it will show you the transactions for this specific wallet, total received, and this is how much balance you have in there. Previously, we were only able to see, the number of Bitcoins, and if you wanted to switch that, you just click on this green button, and it'll relay it back into Bitcoin. Okay, so sometimes if you have this number, I used to get out my calculator and do the, the calculations, but now this is a much quicker way. Cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go to CoinMarketCap, and we're just going to touch on market capitalization. And the reason why I want to touch on this is so, it's a good way to explain the reason why we have such a high market capitalization, it's 114 billion, is that we have usability. We have over 147 retail chain locations all around the world that are, literally exchanging hands. This is, we've got the ability to be able to spend Bitcoin, which is why it's such a large number. So this is our current price. Again, this is in US dollars. Good to see it going up. And this is the volume that has exchanged hands or exchanged parties over the last 24 hours. So, my friends, this is why I'm showing you these things, because it'll give you confidence. If anyone says, oh, Bitcoin's dying, it's dropped from 19,000, you take them to these websites, you show them, well, it's very much alive. This is 4 billion that has exchanged hands over the past day. And here we have the circulating supply of 17,298,000. And as we know, with the Bitcoin blockchain, it's actually capped at 21 million. Now I'm going to take you to another website, which will show you a little bit more detail. And then we have here, this is the change that has happened in the last 24 hours. It's grown in 0.72%. If that happens, generally most other cryptocurrencies are in the green as well. And so speaking of the Bitcoin blockchain having capped at 21 million, there is another website which I was able to discover through one of my awesome teammates, Connie. Now, this is where you'll be able to find the Bitcoin block reward halving countdown. Now, this is bitcoinblockhalf.com. bitcoinblockhalf.com. Now, as I mentioned before, we have 21 million Bitcoins. Okay, it's literally just tells you everything. So the next reward drop, i.e. every 4 years, Satoshi Nakamoto says that, it's going to halve. Our next halving date is 598 days away. Basically. So it's pretty cool little countdown there. So the Bitcoin block mining reward halves every 210,000 blocks, approximately every 4 years, and the coin reward will decrease from 12.5 to 6.25 Bitcoins. These are the total Bitcoins in circulation. This is all that will ever be produced. And, given this Bitcoin halving date, my friends, this is why we want to get in. We want to get in now. We want to mine as much Bitcoin as possible. So, that's almost 600 days. That's 6 times 90-day intensives. Let's look at it that way. 6 lots of 90-day intensives. And, you look at the results, you look at what Ricardo's spoken about in terms of, if you can smash out a solid 90-day intensive, you're going to get the plane off the ground. And that is where the wealth is created, So we've got 6 opportunities to actually, create a lot of Bitcoin and mine a lot of Bitcoin, but also generate from their compensation plan as well. So this is a percentage of the total Bitcoins mined. It's, it's good to actually see the percentage because that's quite high. We're only 18% left. And total Bitcoins left to mine until the next block half, and so on. So this is the market capitalization. So this is almost bringing some of what we had in CoinMarketCap into this website as well. So that's a very, very helpful website to be able to refer to. Your difficulty rate there again, and hash rate, etc. So here again, approximate block generation time every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes, there's a new cryptography challenge issued from the Bitcoin software. And, so it's actually a very, very good website to check out. Okay, let me just go back to my slides. So we've seen the blockchain. We've also taken you to have a look at the market capitalization at CoinMarketCap. These are the websites that you want to take your people to. Okay, this is where you're going to be able to get validation, get verification, and just to back you up. And if you don't have confidence in doing that, definitely reach out to your upline or one of the leaders here as well. And so going back to that market capitalization, this is all about usability. Okay, usability. We're able to use Bitcoin at all of these retail locations globally. This is what really sets us apart. Really exciting to see. And so, in summary, I've touched on a few things. I know we've had technical difficulties, and I did say to Ricardo it would be a short training, but I really just wanted to touch on, what is a blockchain, emphasize what is Bitcoin, our role as Bitcoin miners. I think there would be a better appreciation of that as well, just an understanding, and the live Bitcoin blockchain as well. We've shown you the market capitalization, where you can access Bitcoin block halving, and the aim about today was to really give you confidence about BCN, because if you're not confident about BCN, it's because there's a knowledge gap. It's usually just a lack of education, a lack of knowledge. And myself personally, the more I started to understand blockchain and learning about the insides of blockchain and the heart of Bitcoin, for me, it really almost, it turbocharged everything for me, right? It turbocharged. It was like, it was the heart of Bitcoin. So if blockchain's not going anywhere, and it's, you know, it's literally the future of technology, then I wanted to learn about it. And so it's really given me a great deal of confidence in sharing this opportunity.